From the floor of the CME Group, this is Danny Riley with today's MrTopStep update. You know, the markets didn't receive the news about the Italian banks being limit down Friday, and that news was digested over the weekend into several of the large newspapers and thus down sharply in the S&P on Sunday night. In fact, the S&P got down to 1123. But the S&P this morning has jumped back up on the upside. And the reason being, and I think it's really important to understand, is that the S&P is the predominant index, stock index in the world. It's got the most open interest, it's the most looked at, and it's the most sought after. So when you see this big selling going on in Europe and it bleeds into the S&P, we had 600,000 minis traded before the open, it tends to be a nulling effect because most of the selling has been done. And what happened this morning is the S&P opened up at the 1135 to 1133 and a half level, traded 1133, and then jumped all the way up to 1150 half, a 17 and a half handle rally. Now this isn't going to be the cure-all for the stock market. The markets are still under a lot of pressure, and we suspect that they will remain this way all the way into the end of September, maybe even into the first 2 weeks of October. And the volumes are very indicative of what we've been looking at, especially on the big board where you can see big 9-to-1 down days. And also there are some stats about we've seen more 4% moves in this year than we've seen in the last, I think it was like 12 or 14 years. So in other words, we've seen a gigantic pickup in volatility. And what we want to stress to everybody is to be very, very careful when trading right now. There's an inherent amount of risk to when the markets are moving this much. And we think it's sometimes best to take a step back and get a better look at the market rather than go jumping in at every big move up and down. But that said, you know, we'll be back with another MrTopStep update tomorrow. Thank you very much.